There we go. Okay. Hold on. I'm pause. Oh, here we go. We're recording. All right. So here we are. It is session 4 of 12, and we are in the storytelling therapy class, and we are in the process of telling and listening to our life stories, 10-minute versions, and we're going to help each other find metaphors in those stories, and then we're going to help each other find or compose inspirational or guiding or integrational or healing stories for ourselves, because that is the culmination of the storytelling therapy process. Then in the second half of the course, which is going to begin only 2 or 3 weeks from now, you are invited to find a volunteer who you can sit alone with privately, and you can help them tell their life story, find metaphors, and come up with a healing or inspirational story for themselves. So that's the method. First we practice it on ourselves, then we practice it on somebody else. And part of the process is bringing to mind, summoning to mind, Panchatantra or Aesop's fables or Jataka, animal stories, animal fables that somehow relate to our experience, because that will go into the mix. Stories from movies, from epic, from fairy tales, from animal fables, from our own life experience, from our friends' life experience, from historical figures' life experience. It all goes into the mix. And then a next step is changing any of those stories. A next step is talking to and as any of those characters. And then finally coming up with one's own story. So I think next week we will begin talking to and as characters, really. We really need to finish all the life stories before we can really start getting into the material. But next week, I think we should begin the role playing with the characters. Okay, so last week, Shankar, you're back. Come off mute.
Yeah. Actually, I had some call. Basically, I made a silent because I had continuously ringing about 3 to 4 calls. So
yes, it's okay. But we saw you talking in a very animated manner to somebody, and okay, it's all good. Okay, so what I wanted to say about both your life story and Rina's, which you told last week, as I said at the time, both of them were very beautiful and inspiring and joyful stories, because both of you are on the way, well on the way to overcoming some of the adult responsibilities that you had to handle for some time, that it seemed for a while might have cut down on your creativity. But both of you have been able to find a way to manage your lives and your careers to revive and reapply your sense of freedom, joy, creativity. So that was wonderful. Many people are not at that stage yet. You know, they're stuck in a stage where they have lost their creativity, and they're trying to figure out how to get it back and how to bring it back into their lifestyle. But you, both of you, are past that stage, and you know what to do, and you're doing it. So that was good. Anyone else? Does anyone else, or do either Shankar or
Rina? I will go ahead with.
Go ahead.
I will go.
Okay. Well, just a second.
30 minutes life story.
Yeah, just 1 second. Let's just talk about Shankar's and Rina's story for just a couple seconds.
Okay.
Did either of you, Shankar or Rina, did either of you have any ideas about metaphors for your own stories?
No, actually, I didn't think it from that angle. So maybe I need to sit and actually see from the metaphor. Putting the glass and actually seeing what are the metaphors basically I have. In my life story. So I've not seen it separately. I've just seen it as a story, but
Mm-hmm.
I did not break it and see okay where we have metaphor in my life script. So am I replaying those life metaphor again and again or something like that?
Something you said at the very beginning of your story was that you didn't like it when, like at school, they made you do things. If things were too regimented.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, I don't know if you actually said it, but I was thinking about lines. There were lines that you could not cross, like even in a coloring book. You were forced to color things inside the lines, and you didn't like it.
Yep.
So you made it your business to go outside the lines and create your own lines.
Yep.
So that's a kind of a metaphor that came to my mind. And then Rena, it was very striking how you said at some point in your story, so there was one thing I didn't like, and that was doing sales. And then you said, so I spent the next 20 years doing sales. And it showed that you found a way to overcome the negative aspect of sales, and you found a way to develop an enjoyable, positive aspect of sales. So that was really a case of making the best of something.
Yeah.
Okay, we all know sales, the negative side of it is that we're trying to, we have to get someone to buy something, and they may not need it, and we may not really believe in it, but still we have to get them to buy it. That's the negative side. But what was there any aspect of selling that you came to enjoy at all?
So if we speak metaphorically, I feel that it was something like someone pushed you into water and you didn't know swimming. So gradually you learned how to swim, and then you started enjoying the swim. Actually, it was something like that,
Well, I can see that you're a person who likes to communicate and likes to share and likes to understand people and help them do the same. So all of that can happen in the process of sales, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you find out what the person needs, and it can really be a help to help a person get what they need.
So what really actually helped me in sales all these years is my genuineness. I always came up with solutions rather than just selling a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really helped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wonderful. We all know that when we need to buy something, or when we need to get something, sometimes we need help. We need guidance. We need assistance. I went on a tremendous voyage last week. I broke a glass plate that belongs to my wife, while my wife was out of town. A purple glass plate that was sort of a bowl also. I went all over Chennai searching for shops that sell glass plates and bowls. I ended up at Paris Corner at a shop called Ethiraj.
Ethiraj, yeah.
Ethiraj. And it's too long a story. It's a long story with some very funny parts. But anyway, I thought in that process, I would happily pay one of these auto rickshaw drivers to take me to shops that had this type of thing.
No.
Because I was walking all up and down, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I thought, oh, I wish I had a guide. Okay, good. So we've begun the process then with you, Shankar, and you, Rena, of getting inside your story and turning it into a metaphorical story. And I want every step of the way, I want you to ask, why should we bother? Why should we do it? What's the point? but I believe we'll come up with good answers. Okay, now, Bhavani Shankar, will you tell us?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It is when I was a child, I was welcome. I was sixth child for my parents. So there is an age difference of about 18 years for my eldest sister and age difference of about 14 years for my eldest brother. So I was the youngest. So I was playing a lot and enjoying. I was loved a lot by many people till as long I was going to the school. By the time I go to the school, then my elder brother, he gave me more assignment, like I have to complete all this. I have to complete so many studies. I have to mug up and tell him. And these pressures, it is something which is very, very unusual, and I could not succeed, and I could not do that. Inherently, I thought myself why I should do that. And I created some negative feelings also against him. Oh, when I become ill, when I become big, I will react to him. And like that, it goes on. However, I was managed to complete these studies in a better way and almost in a comfortable way I studied. But inherently, I had that feeling consistently. In other words, I felt that the life is struggle and the studies are difficult and somebody is keep on forcing me. As I grew up, it happened that my father got retired because there is a huge difference between my father. So by the age of my 12 itself, my father retired, and up to my age of 19, literally we were not in a comfortable financial position. So then I thought it is very much required for me to earn more. So that time I decided my life decision, I have to earn more and hard work. So the same, whatever the struggles I had in the study, same continued. As I continued, the company where I wanted to work, it was very hard work. I need to do, perhaps the hard work means in the holidays, I will not be able to avail with the family. And in the normal routine hours, it is not there. I had to work in the night shift. I was in an industry. So that also was a difficult challenge. And we were not in a very comfortable big house to have a calm sleep. So we were in a small house where my children were also playing, but I had to manage myself with my sleep. In managing with the sound, I need to sleep. So if we could not properly sleep, we can't work. So all these struggles I faced. And after some times, I had to, if I do the higher education, then there is a chance of getting the promotion. That also, I added my struggle and I continued in that situation, I continued my education also. Of course, I tried elsewhere for the better, easier, comfortable position. In that, that I couldn't get it. However, my wife is also working. So that is also another struggle I had. So financially, we easily come up, but the struggle was there. But we were comfortably living. So actually, as when I was young, how much comfortable we were, that position we got, we were able to save money and we will able to procure some houses and all. We were living comfortably. Okay, as the time goes on, as the children goes on, I felt the drive for me to earn money did not succeed. Okay, because by the age of 12 and 19, I decided to earn more. So I prefer to leave the family and earn more. Take more risk, you will earn more. So by the age of 50, I quit my job, and also another one more reason is that I was not given a promotion. So I quit my job and gone to the another company. But during that time, I need to be away from the family. That also I preferred. So I went away from the family, but there I enjoyed the life. The life was not so much tougher, but away from the family was one. But however, voluntarily, willingly, I enjoyed spending more time on the job because my family also was not near me. So my diversion, distractions were not more. So I fully concentrating on the work and did the job effectively. And I got a good name and promotions and all. And by the age of 59, I felt it is over, and then I stopped. I myself stopped voluntarily. That is enough is enough. What I earned is adequate. But meanwhile, I lost my parents. Okay, and I lost my a lovable time with my children, because by the age of my retirement of 59, both children got married. Okay. However, we had, whenever the advantages is there, whenever they were in holidays, I used to take them to where I work, and we enjoyed all over the India in the tour times. Otherwise, we would have been only sitting around in the south. So I'm familiar with northern parts, northern language. We went all around the India, everywhere. So these are all the positives. And you said some metaphor. Actually, when I wanted to take a decision to be away from the family, there was some famous songs in the Tamil, the Avayar, some Tirai Kadal Odiyum Tiraviyum Thede. There was a good song is there. I repeatedly used to play to strengthen my feeling that I am directed divinely. So as per the guidance only, I am moving. So these are all the feelings I have. Yeah, that's it over.
And tell us more about your how your interest in psychology and becoming a psychological counselor has developed.
Fine. Okay. See, as I completed my earnings, I also find I used to, so the inherent feeling of my brother, the reaction to my brother is there. That is, inherently, whoever dominating, I wanted to react with them. So even at the work area, I find myself, there are some dominating people is there. Wherever the dominating people comes, my reaction goes and my uncomfortable feeling goes. Then I used to fight and create some inbuilt pressures, and I always used to be aggressive, and many internal conflicts, internal pressures, internal depression, aggressive actions and shoutings, everything will be there. So then gradually I thought, see, why I should do like this? If I can calmly communicate, then the result will be better. So that made me to study about human, how I can interact better. So gradually I entered into that psychology turn. I studied MSc psychology. Then I find myself, I'm improving more and more. Then I thought, so when things are so easy to communicate, I can very well later on seeing when my subordinate. So I motivate my subordinate, I get more outputs, and the relationship also smooth, and I also was happy. So what I learned with so much of struggle, I want to give it back to the society in a comfortable way, and keeping me in a comfort zone of not struggling. See, all my age of till my 59, I was struggling in the site and spending more time standing, struggling. Now I prefer to be in the comfortable sitting, leisure time, and enjoying. At the same time, I want to give back to the society by communicating what all the struggles I learned. So in a comfortable way, also we can get the works done. So we can communicate with the dominant people. Though we need to react, we need not be reactive. So we can calm down our feelings and then communicate. So things will be easily possible. So this motive consistently making me to drive for the counseling. And that is why I do that therapy also. Perhaps the message which you have given in the yesterday morning, I read the healing therapy. So I was very moved by. So I very well feel that I am in the right spot of learning. So I will do it in an effective way by learning more.
Wonderful. Okay, so I think the story that you will compose for yourself, there might be two brothers, or there might be two friends who go through good times and bad times, and they learn how to get along together, because sometimes they are fighting, but they will also learn how to handle their aggressive and competitive feelings, and they will learn ways to cooperate. Great. Anybody else? Any thoughts? Any suggestions?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah, tell me.
Oh no, Shankar is going off again. Okay, let's leave that story there and let's have another story. Oshami or Usha?
I have an online.
Usha, you ready?
So maybe I'll call you. Just give me some time. Nah? Okay, bye.
Can I start, Eric? Can I tell my story?
Please tell us the story of your life.
Okay, I was born and brought up in Mangalore. I had two elder brothers. And when I was growing up, I was interested in dancing and acting and sports, not in studies. Though I was very intelligent, I was not at all interested in studies.
Like me.
And my parents wanted me to study only. So it was always a fight. And my brother was very supporting to me. He was only 3 years elder to me. I just want to tell you one incident which is still alive in my mind. In Mangalore, Navaratri times, people color their body and dresses, faces, and go to the houses and perform their art. And people give money. And when I was in first standard, I also wanted to do the same thing. In Mangalore, there is one. What I can say, tiger dance is very famous. Tiger dance. They color like tiger, wear mask, hood, and the tail, and body full of yellow and black paint. That is a real paint they use, not the color like that. What we are painting the wall, no, it burns their body. Actually, they can't sleep. They sleep on the coconut leaves, no, on that they sleep. So I also wanted to paint my body and dance, but my parents did not allow. Then I told my brother, please, I also want, and I started crying. He said, don't worry, I will do something. Then he brought, there was always, we children were wearing paper mask and dancing. So when my parents, Navaratri time, when they went outside Mangalore, he painted me with turmeric and coal, what we applied to the eyes, no? And took me to the neighbor's house, and I danced, and they gave me some money also. I was so happy. Then I always, and my parents never allowed me to dance and act in dramas. Then as I was growing, then another incident happened. I wanted to become police because when I was in 6th standard, somebody kidnapped me. And they kept me in one school. And I ran away from somehow. It was a school means there was nobody. It was an old school. They had locked. They kept me there. Somehow I ran from there. And next day my parents took me to the police station and complained. Then I thought I will become a police. Then after that, it came in the newspaper also. And now when I was after, I don't know why Shankar is laughing. Okay. When I told my parents I want to become police. My parents said, no, you can't become police. In our family, no lady polices. So then I joined law college. Then I finished my law. I wanted to become a lawyer. Then after that, my parents, my father is a business person. I wanted to join my father's business. Then they thought we have some horoscope. I don't know whether you know, in India we have. They said, no, you should get married now only, otherwise you'll not get married. For many years. So I got married to a person, a very nice person, and we went abroad, and all the dream gone. Police and acting dream gone. So after that, I was there. I could not do anything there. I was busy with my family. And now, you know, Eric, we have come back and settled here. And I joined NGOs and some organization where I can teach, I can tell stories and I make them act. And I also act with them, dance with them. But I did not know how to tell story. That is why, you know, I joined your workshop, storytelling workshop in July 10th. You know that. Then I wanted to learn more, attend more workshop. Then you said you sent this video conference thing. I did not know that it is for this type of people. I just joined. Now I am enjoying what you are teaching. This is about for psychology student. I am not a psychologist. I am just enjoying what you are talking. That's all. I am very much happy with the course. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Okay, wonderful. So, so where do you see yourself 5 years from now? What would you like to be doing 5 years from now?
What happened?
Can you hear my voice?
Yeah, now I can hear.
Yeah. 5 years from now, what would you like to be doing 5 years from now?
I want to continue with the children because I love children, and especially small children I love. And I can use this for bigger children, means high school children. I can use what I am learning here, the values, and what you're telling, Jataka tales, and all. There is a human behavior behind all the character that I can learn something.
And what about your work as a lawyer? Has any of that, do you think any of that will continue? What kind of lawyer were you? Were you a defense lawyer? What?
No, I just studied only, no lawyer.
Oh. Okay, so that involved study, thinking about what is good behavior, what is bad behavior, but there was no, you did not speak in court.
Pardon me?
You did not speak in court. You did not.
No.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
I
wonderful.
never, because when I was in fifth year and I got married.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Anybody? Any questions? Any comments? Any metaphors?
Metaphors. I always think that I'm like in the cocoon. My parents never allowed me to. Never allow me to do what I wanted to do. I was as if I was inside the cocoon, and my husband came and helped me.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
And he's still helping you?
Yes, of course.
Wonderful. That's a very happy story.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, good. All right. Well, Moshami, are you ready? I think it's down to you and me. Are you ready?
Can I do it next time?
No, come on. We're all here.
I'm not at all prepared today.
What, you're not going to remember your life story?
I have to organize a bit.
You don't have to organize it. Just, would you want me to go first?
Yes, please.
If I go first, you'll do it after me? Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I was born in New York City in 1957, which it seems was the very same year my mother was appointed as editor-in-chief of Dance Magazine, which was the leading publication in the USA about all types of dance. And so as I was growing up, she would take me to dance performances, and also at times I could visit her office. And this was before computers. So they had big tables with, the layout of the magazine. And I was always very impressed. And I admired my mother so much for being in charge of that magazine. And also my father wrote for a different magazine. He wrote about cinema and drama. And he wrote a number of plays, which sadly never got produced. But as I was growing up, usually, especially on Sunday mornings, we all knew that my father was in bed with a small typewriter. This was, of course, before computers. A small portable typewriter on his stomach, typing away. And we should not bother my father on Sunday mornings. So I had a sister who was 1.5 years older than me. And she was very rebellious and independent-minded, and a poet. She wrote poetry, she sang, and so things went on. And I always appreciated living in New York in those days. It was a very exciting time somehow. There was so much theater. As a teenager, I went to the theater all the time, either on my own or with my father. And then tragedy struck. My sister died. When I was 14 and she was 16, she died. suddenly. We don't know exactly what happened, but suffice it to say she died. And I still remember my parents weeping over it. I mean, I heard them weeping in their bedroom. They closed the door, they probably locked the door, and I was standing in the hallway, and I heard them weeping together. So that was, how many years ago was that? Almost 50 years ago, 45 years ago? But that was the tragedy of my life and of my family's life. And it was so ironic because my father wrote for 17 magazine, which was a magazine for teenage girls. And he felt that he was writing to show them about the choices they had in life, you know, about the choices of he interviewed every movie star and every rock star for 42 years, from 1946 to 1988. And she died in the middle of that in 1972. So he was trying to educate teenage girls across America. And my mother in 1972, she left the magazine and she became she became head of the dance department at a famous dance school in New York. And at that dance school, what was she doing? She was helping mostly teenage girls to develop a career in dance. And yet in their own family life, they lost their own daughter. So that was just miserable. So then I carried on, and see, up to that point, my whole life had been sports. But after my sister died, I kind of took on her personality a little bit, I think. I moved into her room, which was bigger, and I became more interested in the arts, probably, and involved in theater. I even wrote a play about a brother who goes to the underworld to find his sister there. It was never really produced. I think there was a reading of it. Then I dropped out of high school. I traveled around. I wanted to hitchhike. I loved hitchhiking because I loved all the conversations I had with people along the way. And so I went to California, I came back. I went to Florida, I came back. And then finally finished college. And along the way, developed a strong interest in theater. And along the way, I met Laura Sims and discovered there was such a thing as professional storytelling. And I loved short stories that could be told. And for years, I made a living with a video camera, documenting people's performances in Lower Manhattan. And I also put on some performances of my own. But from the time I was about 20, I knew that I wanted to visit and live someplace on the other side of the world. Many of us who grew up in New York, you know, in families in the arts and journalism, we cannot be satisfied with just living in the USA. So I chose India because of the richness of the traditions. And I chose Tamil Nadu because of that story about Kannagi, that she could go to the king and complain and that he would apologize. That story brought me here. So in 1988, 30 years ago, I came and I walked 500 kilometers in the path of that character, approximately in the path. Actually, I walked the first half of it from the coast to Madurai in '89, I think, and then I came back to the USA. And 12 years later, in like 2002, I came back to India and finished the walk. So there was a 12-year period in the middle where I really suffered. I mean, I really suffered because I had told everyone, including newspapers, that I was going to do the full walk. And here I was. I only did half the walk. Excuse me. So I finished the walk and did my PhD field work with tribal people in those mountains. And then 2004, came to Chennai, and I wanted to settle in Chennai in Tamil Nadu. So I felt I should get married, because I felt otherwise nobody would take me seriously. They would think I was just a white man coming and going. So I put an ad in the Hindu paper. USA man seeks Tamil woman for marriage. One condition, she should have an interesting career. And I was very lucky to find Magdalene. She didn't really see the ad, but friends of hers saw it. So we were brought together by common friends. And now we've been married for, what, 11 years. And we have a daughter. And around the time we got married, I also started the Storytelling Institute. She's a co-founder of it. And I'm a co-founder of the counseling organizations she founded. So our personal and professional lives are very intertwined, because she's especially involved with drama therapy. I'm especially involved with storytelling and storytelling therapy. So, so I'm very happy to be living on the other side of the world. I like to be oppositional. If I can get one thing out of the story that I need to develop myself, it's relating to anger management. Even today, at times, I tend to lose my temper. I tend to be short-tempered in situations where it's a bad idea. So I need to work on that. And something like that goes deep into the psyche. You know, it goes deep into memories of not being respected as a child and not being heard as a child. It has to do with your injured child. You know, we all have a part of ourselves that feels like an injured child. So so I need some work on that. And I guess that's the, did I say I've written a movie which I'm trying to produce? I didn't mention that. I told you, I think I mentioned this movie some time ago, right? And that I'm going to tell you the story of this movie at some point. Did I mention it? It's about 6 teenagers from New York. It's a fantasy version of my own life. It's about 6 teenagers from New York who come to Chennai and then the jungle, the border with Kerala, and they meet tribal people. They're supposed to have an educational exchange with them. But what happens is the tribal people show them a particular flower that has a very strong medicine. And together, the Americans, their teachers, and they have a special tablet computer which can do video calls. Altogether, they save many people's lives with this medicine. But along the way, each of the young people, including some tribal people, each one has their own personal identity crisis that they're working out. But when they're helping people with that flower, they kind of forget about their individual identity crisis that they're working out. So that's a pretty good semblance of my life story. The anger issue is probably related to the pain over losing my sister, but it probably goes beyond that. It probably goes back to, when I was 2 years old. But it certainly was not helped by the sister issue. All right. Story over. Yes, Maushami, what do you want to say?
In the story, the flower, is it a metaphor for something? Because everyone uses it as something kind of spiritual, and it.
Yes, I mean, that story is a story that I've made up. So yes, it can be seen as a metaphor for something. It's also related to the traditional knowledge of how to use the flower. There's a kind of a mythical Hindu saint I'm blocking on his name now. It'll come to me in a minute. He was very short. And the tribal people themselves credit him with teaching them certain types of music and teaching them how to use plants as medicine. So the ancient Tamil knowledge about plants is a part of this also. So yeah, what do you think it's a metaphor for? It's a metaphor for healing, I guess.
Could it be that we all have that wellspring inside and we just need to tap into it?
Mm-hmm.
And metaphorically, that flower is inside us, and that's why all of us, like all these boys, they find it inside them and find this flower, and it heals them.
Yeah, we can really do some good thinking about what flowers tend to symbolize and why they are used as symbols. But flowers, certainly, we all know, are often used as symbols of something, symbols of beauty, symbols of life and rebirth, symbols of unity, the different petals of a flower. Good. Yeah, so that's, see that story is already a story that I've made up, and that may be, one of my good healing and inspirational stories. But in the course of this workshop, I want to make up another story, which may also have a flower in it, but that will help me, especially, as I say, with this anger and patience situation. Any other thoughts about either my story or the story I made up? That movie story? The working name of the movie is Words from the Forest, because at a crucial point in the story, a senior tribal lady tells the people of the world how to use this flower. She tells them by video conference, because they have this special tablet computer with them, and she gets the word out by a video call, by satellite. Okay, Moshami, you can't put it off any longer.
Okay. I was born in Germany, and when I was born, actually, my parents were still struggling because they were trying to make a life over there, and so I really felt very alone at times because I was Indian in a foreign country, and I was very shy. So I didn't have any friends. I didn't have brothers and sisters. And my parents also were very busy trying to survive, basically. And quite often I felt I was not noticed. And so I used to make up stories. Like I was always in this fantasy land where I was the hero of the stories. And I think that kind of made my life more exciting. And we came back to India when I was 8.5. And so when I first saw India, it was from the viewpoint of an outsider. And I think that's what made me love India even more, because it's such a rich place, it's such a warm place, so colorful. And I think because I was more grown up when I saw it first, I have a really deep connection with India. And even the stories, because I'm a Bengali, and we Bengalis have these really nice grandmother stories. So yeah, and I always, because my childhood was a bit lonely, I always wanted a family. So that was my main, focus always. So even though after my graduation I worked in a bank and everything, when I met my husband and I got married, I left everything because I wanted to concentrate on the family. And for 18 years, I was a home mom. And it was beautiful because I have 3 daughters. And I really enjoyed their childhood. Like when they used to come back from school and it's raining, we used to just go out in the rain, have fun over there, come back, have hot chocolate. I was really there in their childhood and I really enjoyed it. And another thing is like, yeah, we used to tell a lot of stories. Like I used to tell them a lot of stories while feeding them, while going to sleep. The stories has really been a part of my life a lot. And my marriage didn't work out. It was a bit traumatic. And then there came a time when I had to really pull up my socks and stand on my own feet. And in the beginning, I really felt like a victim that, I'm the sad story who had a tragedy and who had to really pick up her life again. And um, now I'm in Auroville and, I had to make a life over here. But then one day I was telling my story to someone and they said, wow, you're so brave. And suddenly from being a victim, I became this heroine in my own eyes. And that was so empowering that, same story, same character, but from a tragedy person, I suddenly became a heroine. And that's when my outlook also towards life changed. When I realized, yeah, I am capable of doing stuff and I've done quite a lot. And and because stories have always been such an integral part of my life, and India has been such a rich a part of my life, I really want to develop that more. And that's why I'm here today. And where metaphors are concerned, actually, I'm very blunt. And in a situation, when I can see something and everyone is pretending something else, I kind of, say what's happening. Like, can't you see it's this? And there's actually an archetype like that. There's this, the Emperor's New Clothes, where this child, he shouts out that the emperor is actually naked. I've always felt like that child. And it turns out that that child is actually an archetype. So there is actually a metaphorical character. And yeah, so I really identify with that character. Because I have a bad habit of saying the wrong things at the wrong time and kind of changing everything around. And then suddenly everyone says the same thing as I was saying. But all that time they were just, pretending something else. So that's my metaphor.
Wonderful. So maybe that character can be a character in your the guiding story that you'll compose for yourself. Bhavani Shankar, did you want to say something?
Nothing.
No. It said you raised your hand a couple times somehow. Okay.
For some time, I was not able to see the video. So later on, it got connected. That's it.
Yes, this question of whether it's tragedy or comedy or epic, what genre of story we're living, it's a very interesting question. I guess I tend to feel I'm living a pretty heroic life. Somehow I feel confident, and I have a feeling it comes from my mother, because my mother, I recall my mother always being supportive and encouraging. So I have a feeling that my kind of inner confidence comes from that. Anyone else? Do you relate to this term hero? Hero and heroine are, I might have mentioned last week, they are terms that you should not force on people. When you work with a client, when you do this 6-part story method, I suggest start by just talking, asking your client to think about a character. Don't insist that it should be a hero, because not all characters are heroes and heroines, right? A hero or a heroine is doing something big and mighty and something for the whole community. So we're not always living like that. That's not always what's going on. So we should not insist that a story have a hero, or that we be a hero. So see if it fits, but don't think that every story has to have a hero or a heroine. It can just have a main character, and then we'll see what happens. Anybody? Okay, so we've heard how many stories today? Four stories. Any comments? Questions? It's actually so fine that we're recording this, because we can go back and listen to the recordings and study as we help each other and ourselves come up with metaphors. Now, I want to send each of you a copy of a book, which I have not even read yet, but I have a feeling it's going to be a very useful book. And as a matter of fact, I want to stop recording before I go any further, because I want to talk about this privately. So can we stop recording for now? Yes, okay.